Welcome, I'm Julie Heyer, Public Safety Risk Consultant with Local Government Risk Management Services. I'd like to invite you to a class on ethics in law enforcement. At the end of this course, you will be able to define ethics, recognize how compromising ethics once can make it easier to compromise again and again, and also identify ways to improve the ethical choices being made within your department. Ethics, ethical behavior. It's the performance of everyday activities based on some type of code of conduct. A code of conduct is a statement of behavior and practices reflecting a group or organization's values. Let's talk about values versus norms. Values are general guidelines. They're general standards. What is good? What is bad? Its values are our ends. Norms are specific guidelines. They're rules and expectations. Specify how people should and should not behave. It's a means to achieve those ends. Remember, norms are specific and expectations. There's informal and formal guidelines for norms. Informal guidelines are expectations about what is correct or incorrect, such as cheating on a test is an informal guideline. We're not going to be taken to court. We're not going to be charged with cheating on a test, but we know that it's wrong. Formal guidelines would be those legal, religious, social order. Laws guide us on what we should and should not do, right and wrong. We will actually be held accountable legally with our formal guidelines. Remember, ethical behavior is guided by codes of conduct. Some examples of codes of conduct that, of course, you've heard of is our U.S. Constitution, state and federal laws that are out there, and also our honor codes. An example of an honor code that hopefully you have heard of, and we will cover more specifically, is the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics. In 1957, the International Association of Chiefs of Police developed a code of ethics for law enforcement. It was revised in 1989. In October of 1991, IACP members unanimously voted to adopt this code of conduct. This code of conduct is an example of one that you can choose to use within your department to make sure that everybody follows your guidelines. The International Association of Chiefs of Police Law Enforcement Code of Ethics is as follows. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, my community, and the agency I serve. As you remember in basic mandate, you covered the core values for law enforcement. Those are honor, integrity, respect, and courage. Honor was that first value. That first value is we give our word as a bond and a guarantee, meaning what we say we're going to do, we're going to do. When we say we're going to be there for the citizens, we're going to uphold the laws, and we're going to do it fairly for all, we mean it. Our second value is integrity. That's firm adherence to principles, both in our private and our public life. What we do in our private lives are still seen by the public. They know who we are. They know we are law enforcement, and they are judging us both in and out. If we want them to have a positive attitude for law enforcement, we need to realize that whether we are at work or whether we are at home, we at all times have integrity with what we do. Our third value is respect. Treat people as they should be treated. Remember the golden rule. Treat others as you would want to be treated. Give everyone the respect, and you will be treated with respect back. Our last value is courage, and probably one of the hardest ones for some people to live by. It's having the moral strength to always do the right thing. You may have the strength to treat people correctly, to do the right thing as far as abide by the laws and to cover the laws. But when you see someone else, another officer, treat a person wrong, you still have to have the courage and the strength to report it and to correct it and that is not always easy, but it is important. Law Enforcement Oath of Honor. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for my actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, the community, and the agency I serve, so help me God. Be willing to take that oath of honor and live by it. As law enforcement officers, others have high expectations of you. Citizens in our society hold law enforcement to a higher standard than many people in other professions. As well they should. We need to make sure that what we do will never look bad on our job, our profession. Remember that oath you took. We are given the ability to apply force and to take away constitutional privileges when justified. Citizens should be able to trust that we will always do the right thing and treat all fairly and honestly. Remember, to have ethical behavior within a department, there are a few things we need to have to make sure that every officer understands what is expected. Have a specific code of ethics. Have a clearly written standard of conduct. Train that standard of conduct. Train in that code of ethics. Make sure that it is clear expectations you have for all officers. It increases the likelihood that the right choices will be made. As law enforcement officers, we have the choice of how we're going to behave, and we can behave ethically or unethically. Examples of ethical behavior: having that respect for all, giving fair treatment to everyone, being honest, being professional, and having the courage to always do the right thing. Examples of unethical behavior would be corruption, gratuities, lying. Example of that would be lying in court, giving false testimony. Abuse of power, going above and beyond what we should be doing, using excessive force. Racism. Excessive force is, again, an example of what some officers occasionally have done that is unethical behavior that hurts all, not just you or the individual you're dealing with. Gratuities are one that sometimes people question, so we'll go a little bit more into that. Gratuities are where you accept something free or at a reduced price from someone that you didn't earn. It isn't something that was given to you just because you are a special person, but it was given to you because you are a law enforcement officer. If that happens, your department has a policy and procedure on how to deal with it. Slippery slope is what I want to bring up now. A slippery slope is a situation in which events or actions readily progress from one to the next, a dangerous and irreversible course. Example: if your department policy and procedure says you will not take a free meal, yet you do take that free meal, no one says anything and they knew about it within the department, the next time it's going to be easier. After accepting the free meal, it's going to be easier to take a reduced price on something, and it goes on and on. When you choose to commit an unethical act and it becomes easier and easier each time, sometimes it is not irreversible. So let me reiterate how we can improve our ethical choices. Again, have that well-written standards of conduct. Have a code of ethics and make everyone live by it. If they do something that is unacceptable, there needs to be some type of consequence. Use the code of honor. Make them read it and live by it. You read it and live by it. Have clear expectations and train on what they need to do. If you are ethical, it's going to be easier to be professional. Ask yourself this question. In 20 years, will I be proud about what I did? Would my family be proud? If it feels wrong, it just might be. Remember again the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.